Elon Musk and Bill Gates are two very successful and smart guys, but they have two very different opinions when it comes to population and the coronavirus. Let's look. So what does Bill Gates think about population? There's a lot of theories, and it's easy to see why. His theory is very confusing. He's a big believer that making nations healthier will actually curb population growth. How does that make sense? Well, it's because he's a massive believer in reproductive rights, also known as abortion. Listen in his own words.
It's obvious you're doing wonderful things to prevent deaths. You're a self-proclaimed optimist. Another view is that your charity is adding enormously to the problem of overpopulation in the world. Do you have an optimistic solution to that problem?
Okay, this is a very important question to get right, because it was absolutely key for me. When our foundation first started up, it was focused on reproductive health. That was the main thing we did, because I thought, population growth in poor countries is the biggest problem they face. You've got to help mothers who want to limit family size have the tools and education to do that. And I thought that's the only thing that really counts. Well, then I came across articles that showed that the key thing you can do to reduce population growth is actually improve health. And that sounds paradoxical. You think, okay, better health means more kids, not less kids. Well, in fact, what parents are doing is they're trying to have two kids survive to adulthood to take care of them. And so the more disease burden there is, the more kids they have to have that high probability. So there's a perfect correlation that as you improve health, within a half generation, the population growth rate goes down.
Bill Gates thinks it's paradoxical that as you make a nation healthier and educate a nation, that the population spike starts to level out. Well, it's not really paradoxical, because when your education involves telling third world nations and Western nations to abort babies, it's no surprise how population could level off.
Key for me, when our foundation first started up, it was focused on reproductive health. That was the main thing we did.
So in a nutshell, that's Bill Gates' theory. Make nations healthier and educate them on reproductive rights or abortions, and you'll see despite them getting healthier, population will not spike, it'll level off. And what does Elon Musk believe on population? Let's look.
Assuming that AI is fine, assuming that there's a benevolent future with AI, I think that the biggest problem the world will face in 20 years is population collapse. Collapse.
I agree.
I want to emphasize this. The biggest issue in 20 years will be population collapse. Not explosion, collapse. It's very easy to see what the world will look like in 20 years because humans have a 20-year boot sequence. So like you say, okay, well, who was born last year? Okay, now you know what the world looked like in 20 years. It's that easy.
I absolutely agree with that. The population problem is going to be facing huge challenge. 1.4 billion people in China sounds a lot, but I think next 20 years we'll see this thing will bring big trouble to China, and the population decreasing of the speed of population decreasing is going to speed up.
Yes.
And you call it collapse. I agree with
accelerating
that.
Collapse.
Accelerating
collapse. And then the common rebuttal is like, well, what about immigration? Like, from where?
This is very bizarre for multiple reasons. First of all, if you pay attention to the media, or you pay attention to modern day environmentalists, all they talk about is overpopulation, overpopulation, overpopulation. We're too populated, too many people. But you have one of the smartest and most successful guys in the technological and science field, Elon Musk, saying the exact opposite. And if what Elon Musk is saying is true, him and Bill need to have a debate. Because if we are facing population collapse, maybe going around the world educating people on reproductive rights, aka abortion, might not be the best strategy if we're truly facing population collapse. That's between Bill and Elon Musk to figure out and debate. And what about this coronavirus that's taking over the world in the media? Once again, two very different approaches. Elon Musk tweeted, "The coronavirus panic is dumb." Which is a lot different from what Bill Gates said, which is how to respond to COVID-19, the blog of Bill Gates handling coronavirus, and prepare for the next epidemic too. Gates writes, first, it can kill healthy adults in addition to elderly people with existing health problems. He also wrote, budgets for these efforts need to be expanded several times over, and basically called for the government to give much more money to this pandemic. He wrote, billions more dollars are needed to complete phase 3 trials and secure regulatory approval for coronavirus vaccines, and still more funding will be needed to improve disease surveillance and response. Why does this require government funding? And then he goes on about that. And lastly, lastly but not least, he says, these are the actions that leaders should be taking now. There is no time to waste. If you read the entire article, it's a lot different from the coronavirus panic is dumb. And the point of this video is simple. We need to have two minds like Bill Gates and Elon Musk debate about population and the coronavirus, especially when most media is telling us that we're overpopulated and they're a lot like Bill Gates going around trying to curb population. Whereas Elon says we're going to face population collapse. That's a pretty huge difference. And as much as the media and politicians like to say the science is settled, science is all about debate, discussion, experiments, and learning, adapting, and evolving with new information, even when it goes against your agenda or what you wanted to believe before. And with two powerhouses like Bill Gates and Elon Musk disagreeing about two very big topics, wouldn't it be great to see them debate? Wouldn't it be great to see them have a conversation and debate their ideas, as opposed to a lot of what we see now, which is censorship and the blacklisting of anybody who questions the big scientific agenda of the tech companies and a lot of politicians, because they say you're not allowed to disagree. You're not allowed to have your own perspective. It's 100% safe, and if you suggest otherwise, you're a conspiracy theorist. Well, I guess then consider Elon Musk a conspiracy theorist. He builds rockets that land on the ground. He has self-driving electric cars, so clearly he's good at something. I just feel like we need to see more debating and more discussing and more putting our ideas to the test, rather than more censorship, silencing, and telling everyone to shush. That's my thought. Let me know yours. God bless you. Have an amazing week, and I'll be back with more videos.